Hey all, Pi here, and right off the bat, I am sorry if this sounds different than previous episodes, as hopefully everybody has already been informed. My previous mic just died outright in January of this year, so I'm working with a new mic, and I don't think it's as good at picking up my voice as my previous mic was, which is unfortunate, but here we are. One of these days I will upgrade to something better when it's not an emergency situation, you know? Anyway, it has been months since I last recorded, and I fully forgot that I left us off on this very pivotal choice here. So I can either tell Cove about his dad being weird, or I can not do that. And genuinely, I don't remember if I had something in mind when I ended the last one, or if I just told the universe, yeah, I'm gonna think about this later, and then just didn't. I think at this point, Xander doesn't particularly care for Cove, so I don't see why he wouldn't tell him. So you told the full story. Even if it was supposed to be a secret, you thought Cove should still know. Your dad wanted you to have a friend, so he offered me money, $20. Cove was so still you thought he hadn't heard you. Then his eyes widened, his mouth fell open, but no sound left him. Silence stretched between you, so tense that it was almost tangible. You shifted from one foot to another, and your hands tensed up. Cove? Instead of speaking, he closed his mouth. His eyebrows bent up, crinkling his forehead. He looked more sad than surprised now. He was going to cry. You were certain of it. Aww. Maybe I'm a bad person for this. I didn't take it. The money. I just ran away. Honest. Cove raised his hands and brought them up under his glasses. His fingers pressed over his eyes, hiding them from your sight. Then, right in the middle of the street, the tears began to fall. Aww. Maybe I am a bad person. Maybe I shouldn't have told the baby Cove. Oh no. His shoulders shook with the force of his sobs. You could glimpse wetness through the cracks of his fingers, slipping down his cheeks. You opened your mouth, but you had no idea what to say. I think I've been playing Xander as a very, timid, reserved sort of character, kind of just not big on people, generally. So, the polar opposite of Joy. So I don't think Xander is going to be the type to, reach out and touch someone who is crying. So you stayed by him. You couldn't go anywhere with Cove in this state. But Cove shook his body from side to side, rejecting your presence.
No!
Oh, go away! You flinched at the shout. As you stood there, listening to him cry, you felt bad about everything, really. You wished you were still making sandcastles on the beach. Before Cove was sad, before Shiloh was mad, everything had been so much better then. Cove continued to weep with his face covered by his hands. Worse, his voice raised in volume. You were frozen in place. The situation was awful, and you kept feeling worse every second. I think little baby Xander is probably going to be, the type of person to start crying if he sees somebody else crying. So, we're just gonna go with, you started crying too. You didn't know what to do to stop Cove from crying. You began to panic. Before you realized it, your eyes were misting over. Then you were crying with him. You couldn't stop. You heard a door opening, and you flinched, expecting to see one of the mean old grandparents preparing themselves to yell at you. At this hour, most people weren't around, either because they were working or down in the town, but the grandparents rarely left the house, except to complain at children making noise on the street. With the ruckus Cove was making, you could kind of understand why they might have objections, even if he couldn't help it. But the door that stood open now didn't belong to the grandparents. To your utter surprise and relief, it was Cove's own. His dad was already home. As he peeked out his door, Mr. Holden momentarily looked unsure. Perhaps he had suspicions on the noise outside, but wasn't entirely positive. Though a kid crying is pretty distinct, and there aren't a lot of kids. Maybe he didn't want to believe something might be wrong with his son. His face fell as he spotted the source of the commotion. It was pained, and it was scared, and it reminded you of the one he'd worn the first night you met Cove. Mr. Holden didn't go down the steps in front of his house. He just jumped right over them and stumbled into a run. He skidded to a stop before Cove bent down on one knee and then solidly cupped Cove's teary face with his hands.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? Are you hurt anywhere? Oh, I can't imagine this is gonna go well. Cove continued to cry, unable or unwilling to cough out an explanation. Not taking his hands from Cove, Mr. Holden turned to you for explanation, his eyes wide and imploring. He wanted to know if you tried to make me hang out with him. I told him about the money. As you spoke, Mr. Holden's chest rose while he inhaled a deep, shaky breath, culminating in a gasp at your final words.
What?
Why? Why would you... He clamped his mouth shut, shaking his head. He faced his crying son again. No, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done something like that in the first place. He cast his eyes down, sighing. When he next spoke, it wasn't part of a conversation anymore. It was barely loud enough for you to catch his words. Xander's only a kid. Tears were streaming down Cove's face. Smiling sadly, Mr. Holden wiped Cove's cheeks with a thumb. He furrowed his brows and looked at the ground. When he next glanced up, his mouth was set in determination. Mr. Holden finally took his hands off Cove. He reached for his wallet. Confused, you stared at the little rectangle that all adults seemed to carry in some shape or form. It had been the source of all these problems. You were sure that Cove wouldn't want to be reminded of it right now. Mr. Holden was clearly of a different mind to you. He inexplicably retrieved another $20 bill, rolled it up, and raised it to Cove's face. Cove's eyes were hidden behind tightly clamped fingers, so Mr. Holden poked Cove's nose with the bill. Cove peeked between his hands and grunted as he saw what he had been prodded with. Even if it was surrounded by sobs, you were glad that something else had finally left Cove's mouth.
Come on.
Hey, Cove, can you stop crying? I'll give you this cash if you do. I don't think Mr. Holden has learned anything at all. Oh boy. Okay. Definitely not the move I would make. Alright, let's see where this goes. Cove dropped his hands from his face. It had already been red and wet with tears, but now his features were scrunched up in a scowl. Not for the first time, you questioned Mr. Holden's tactics. He had to use two hands, but Cove firmly shoved his dad's own hand away. But Mr. Holden just chuckled at Cove's reaction and tossed the money aside. It unfurled as it flew through the air, rising before slowly drifting to the ground. Mr. Holden took Cove's outstretched wrist and lowered them to Cove's sides, stopping him from hiding his face again. Cove's dad clearly wasn't going to let it go. Huffing, Cove turned his whole head away, tears continuing to roll down his cheeks as he glowered at the ground. You can buy a lot of cool things with that, but it can't do everything, can it? Cove didn't respond, not even to look at his father. Mr. Holden continued. Your old dad likes to make things nice for you with the money he earns, but you're smart. You know that I haven't really done anything.
I'm sorry.
I still make you sad and upset, just like right now. I'm sorry. Cove sniffed, the harsh line of his brow mellowing. Mr. Holden squeezed Cove's hands as he continued. Xander is smart too, right? Mr. Holden spoke in a soft, encouraging tone, and Cove continued to calm. You have nothing to worry about. Except for me. I'm worried about you too, quite frankly. Mr. Holden chuckled. Cove pressed his lips together, mulling over his father's words. Though the stream of tears had eased, drops still butted in his eyes and threatened to spill out. I love you, son. So much. More than anybody else. Sometimes that makes me a little too hasty to see you happy, and I make it all worse. I really am sorry. Scrunching his eyes tight, Cove nodded. When his eyes opened again, they were red and glossy, but there were no tears left on the precipice of his lower lashes. Aside from the occasional sniff, he was mostly back to his usual self. He swallowed.
Okay.
Aww. Though Cove had refused to echo Mr. Holden's exact words, the sentiment seemed to be enough for his dad. He moved his hands up under Cove's armpits and hoisted Cove high into the air with a grin. Cove's hands flew to his glasses, holding them back from falling off. Those are expensive, sir. Do not break your child's glasses. I'm suddenly reminded. Though maybe I shouldn't tell this story on YouTube. Never mind. Cove's lips were shut tight, all betrayed by the telltale smile in his eyes that he was trying hard to hide. Mr. Holden laughed, lowering Cove so that he was securely pinned against his chest. Cove looked away, face angled to the ground. Now that his dad could no longer see him, he was allowing himself a smile. Mr. Holden might have missed it, but you didn't. Cove wriggled, pushing a hand against his dad's shoulders. Can I go back down now?
Yeah.
Aww. I hope that didn't pick up on the mic. I am kind of in the midst of doing laundry and being an adult while I'm recording. Anyway, Mr. Holden set Cove gently on the ground, waiting until his feet found their footing before releasing him entirely. I have to do something. Wait here. As Cove wandered away, Mr. Holden's gaze stuck to him like glue. He sighed, eyes downcast. You felt weird that you'd only been able to stand there while the event unfolded. You weren't able to fix it. I couldn't do anything. You're a child. Don't worry about it, please. We don't need another tragedy today. He winked, and you weren't impressed. Hey, I mean that. The first part, anyway. There's only so much you can do to try fixing someone else's mistake. He smiled sincerely at you. You've done plenty for Cove. Just the fact that you were honest with him when his own dad wasn't proves it.
That's a relief.
Thanks for being such a good kid. I hope you'll keep spending time with the boy. As though the sound of his name summoned him, Cove returned, clutching the bill his dad had cast aside earlier. You cocked your head, and Cove's dad raised his eyebrows. Cove looked at the crumpled note, then walked over and held it out to you. I stopped crying, but I don't want this. You can have it. He gave you a small smile. Behind him, Mr. Holden was still watching Cove closely, clearly relieved. You shared the feeling. Cove was making peace with the deal that happened behind his back. I cannot imagine, after everything that just transpired, actually taking the money. Personally, I don't know what type of character arc would result in choosing not to take it initially, watching all of this unfold, and then taking it now. Like, no, I'm not taking it. There's no way. Shaking your head, you push the note back to Cove. I don't need it. But I don't want it. You were at a stalemate. Mr. Holden hummed thoughtfully. Tapping his head, he gazed up at the wide sky as he pretended to give the conundrum serious consideration. I know. He plucked the bill from Cove and tore it right in two. You and Cove gasped in unison. Sir! No! No! What kind of rich is Cove's dad? How much money does he make? I just want to know. Dad, we can't do anything with it now. True, it won't work at the store like this, but you can split it. Sir. There was a better way. Surely. Crouching down, he held out the pieces to you and Cove. You both looked at the two halves. Neither of you reached for them. It still has value, as a keepsake, a memory, and that's one of the most valuable things you can use money on. I don't know if I agree with you on that.
So,
That sounds pretty good, huh? Maybe I'm getting smarter. Wordlessly, Cove stretched out a hand and took his half. You took yours, running a finger along the jagged edge of the bill. Oh. I guess I got, what do you call it? An achievement. Don't know if that'll pick up on the recording. I think it will. Mr. Holden stood up, stretching his arms out casually. Well then, it's about time for dinner. Me and the Rugrat need to be going in. You probably should too. I bet your moms want to see you. Alright.
Bye.
Bye.
thanks very much.
Have a good night. And thanks, Sander. Father and son waved at you as you turned and dashed back home. The note clenched tightly in your hand. You felt lighter. Okay, that could have been so much worse. I feel better about that now, but still, like maybe I am just in a completely different economic bracket and cannot understand tearing up money. It hurts my soul. Let's continue on to Runaway, because I think that's what I was doing. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah. Anyway. After a couple hours at the playground by yourself, it had gotten firmly into afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the distance. She was running over like something was on her tail, chasing her. You knew she would be coming, but was she this excited to get to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balanced her hands on her knees, and panted. Did you hear? Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found the new hiding place of Mom's sugar stash. Oh no. It's about Cove. Oh no. Cove? Lizzie rarely brought him up by herself, and never with this much urgency. What was this about? You listened, confused, as Lizzie explained. I just came out when I saw lots of people gathered around, in the middle of the street. They were talking kind of quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear, but that just means it was important. So I snuck up, and I heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly, she wanted you to say something. I think we've been slightly more communicative with Lizzie than with others, so I am actually going to directly ask, what did you hear? Seeing that she had your attention, Lizzie continued. Cove is missing. Oh no. He left a piece of paper for Mr. Holden to tell him he was going away and would be gone for a long time, and no one's seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if they don't find Cove soon, they'll call the police. Oh no. The police? You had seen police officers around town now and then, but you had never talked to one before, much less dealt with them. It was an intimidating thought. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? No, that's not how that works, but if you do have to get the police involved for a missing child, there's a high probability that very bad things have happened. You watched as your sister began to pace in front of you. I know Mom said Cove was sad about moving here, but running away from home is crazy.
Jeez.
Where else is he gonna go anyway? I don't know. Lindsay scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment. Then she nodded and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna look too. You are?
Mm-hmm.
We can play at the park any day. And the more people there are looking, the quicker someone will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm the best at hide and seek after all. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Well, she is a child, so. Wish me luck. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in this crisis faded to the back of your mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. It was surprising news at first, but that sounded like something he'd do when you considered it again. Yeah, no, that is not remotely out of character for this child. He worries the hell out of everyone. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He had gone there the first time you met. But someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need the police for that. Cove must be far away, or hiding somewhere, if the whole neighborhood was looking for him. You swung back and forth, your lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Lizzie had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home was somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that might be important enough for Cove to go off like this. It was a good idea, except how was he going to get there? Could he take a bus? Was he going to walk the whole way? You didn't know what direction he needed to take. But, wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to either side would mean he'd get stuck by buildings and fences and big slopes, like the one behind your house. That left going up the street. You knew that road. It led into the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits. Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off that road onto some random other street. Which meant, if someone followed the path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so... Xander is not a talkative child. I don't think that he would go out of his way to talk to a group of adults who he doesn't know. And maybe that wouldn't even occur to him as an option. So you had to go find Cove by yourself. You were worried about Cove and didn't have to bother anyone. Plus, you might be wrong. It was your idea, so you should be the one to check there. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. You went right up along the main street, keeping an eye out for Cove. No one else had the same idea as you, it seemed, because you were completely alone there. You passed through your whole neighborhood, and then the next one over, and the next. Your worry festered like a wound the longer you searched for your friend. How far had Cove gone? You kept walking. You even called out for Cove a few times, but you didn't see that familiar mop of green hair anywhere. After a while, the sun began to dip out of the sky. It would be dark soon, and there was still no sign of your neighbor. You weren't even in the residential district by this point. You had reached the central part of town. The area was at once strange and familiar. You'd been here before, of course, but never without your moms close by. They would drive you. Your footsteps slowed. You started second-guessing your decision to go ahead by yourself. It wasn't like you knew for sure where Cove went. Cove? You shouted his name a few times, as you had done periodically this entire time, but there was nothing. Maybe he's not going this way. Was he somewhere else? Had someone found him already? I think at this point Xander's going to be very spooked by being so far away from home with nobody, knowing where he is. I can't imagine that he would continue just walking aimlessly. You turned back. You needed to get back to your own home. With a sigh, you turned on your heel and started trudging in the direction you came from. Just as you turned on your neighborhood street, you spotted your mom. She must know about Cove and was looking too, because she was wearing a worried frown. Her expression cleared up when she saw you. Your mom was probably trying to find you too by this point, you realized. Xander, there you are. You were supposed to be home ages ago. Where? She cut herself off, sighing deeply. Let's talk about this later. Now isn't the time. Why don't you head inside? I need to stay out for a bit longer. Something is going on right now, but we'll take care of it. Mom tried to usher you into the house, but you didn't budge from where you stood. Mom, I might know where Cove is.
What?
What? That... How did you even find out he was missing already? She shook her head before you could answer. You know what? That's not important right now. Where is it, Xander? You told her your hunch. She listened intently. The main street. That's not good. I'll drive down there to make sure he doesn't get far. Mom muttered that more to herself than you, but you heard her all the same. Can I come with you? Mom turned back to you and shook her head.
I'm really sorry.
I'm sure you're worried about Cove, and that's good, but I need you to wait at home with Mommy. If I find him, I'll bring him straight here, okay? You were disappointed, but you nodded. She stroked your cheek, smiling softly. Mom guided you to the house with a hand on your shoulder. You both went in. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. Mom briefly explained what happened before she grabbed the car keys. Mommy saw her out. Soon after, you were herded into the kitchen. You sat at the table while Mommy microwaved leftovers, which you gobbled up. You hadn't even realized how hungry you were. The two of you settled into the living room after that. Mommy put a cartoon on the TV for you to watch while you waited. You snuggled up against her side as you watched the show, warm and safe. Your mind was still on Cove. Would Mom find him out there in town? Or was he actually somewhere else? You didn't have to wait long to find out. Halfway through the episode, you heard the front door unlocked. Then it swung open with a shout. We're here! I've got him, Lonnie! Come on in, Cove. You didn't stir from the couch at first, not sure what to do, but Mommy got up, so you followed her. Mom was putting the car keys away. Cove stood nearby with his head bowed. You squinted to get a better look at him. Cove looked exhausted. His eyes were rimmed red, nearly matching his glasses, and there were dried tear tracks stuck on his cheeks. And a backpack was slung over one of his shoulders. He really had planned on running away. Oh, thank goodness. You found him. Yes, he was on his way down Main Street, just like Xander said. Cove shuffled his feet at that, but he remained silent. You could tell that he felt out of place. You weren't the only one who noticed his discomfort.
Okay.
You must be tired, Cove. You can sit down wherever you like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned him to the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. You walked close behind him, frowning. Cove was always pretty quiet, but this was a different kind of quiet. The living room wasn't far, or separated by a wall, so you heard your mom's talk softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing.
Well...
That explains it, at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True, it can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots.
Is that all right?
I'll call, then go to the front to tell everyone still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hun. Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kinda want to run away and not come back this time, so I don't have to see them again. Sit your ass down. No more of that. Please never run away again. Cove looked guilty for even suggesting that, despite it not being serious. I won't. Not for real. When it seemed silence would descend upon the two of you again, the front door opened. Your mom was back, with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son.
Cove?
Cove! God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened, like he'd been crying too. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. Good, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed, as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still smiling weakly. I'm so happy you're all right too, Xander. Then he looked at your moms. Thanks for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully.
I'm sorry.
And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough.
It's okay.
It was no trouble, Cliff, really. It couldn't be helped in any way. Something was bound to happen sometime. Besides, he wasn't the only one who decided it was a good idea to disappear today. Exactly. We're just happy the kids are safe and sound. Not for the first time since that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then, too. Only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought, because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad. I won't leave anymore. Promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine.
I'm so glad.
That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holt took over, carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked over to the front door so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow. But he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold.
Thanks.
Thanks, Xander. I didn't do anything. Your mom said you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went back. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were practically dead on your feet at this point. Your fatigue must have been obvious, because your mom sent you right to bed with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. Your eyelids were so heavy you couldn't open them again until the next morning. Alright, I am going to end it there, because I kept hoping that that would be the end of the step, and it kept not coming. So we will pick this up in the next episode. Don't run away, children, please. Running away from home is like one of the worst things you can do to your parents. Please don't. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave a like or a comment, and subscribe if you have not yet. If you would like to support me financially, please consider checking out my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to all of my regular videos. The link for that will be down in the description. And for everyone else, I just hope to see you again in the next one.